So here's where all this work starts to come together, solving by factoring. And in order to, like if I had something like x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0, and I want to solve that. So the way I'm going to solve it is by factoring this. And this all hinges on a certain relationship. So if I have two things multiplied together and they give me 0, a times b equals 0. Notice that either a has to be 0, right? 0 times something gives me 0. Or b has to be 0. Something times b gives me 0. Or both. They could both be 0. So what that means, like if I have something like x plus 5 times x minus 7, that looks familiar, equals 0, what I have is this thing multiplied by this thing gives me 0. Notice the implication being this has to be equal to 0, or this has to be equal to 0. I should write equal to 0. And if I solve that, subtract 5, x equals negative 5. Add 7, x equals 7. So x could equal negative 5 or 7. Notice if I plug negative 5 back into here, negative 5 plus 5 is 0. I have 0 times negative 5 minus 7. What's that? Negative 12? But it doesn't matter because 0 times whatever is 0. Or if I plug the 7 back in, 7 plus 5 here gives me the 12. Yeah, that is 12. And 7 minus 7 here gives me the 0. At least one of them is 0, that gives me 0. So x could be these two different things. Hopefully you see the pieces. We get something in this form. Well, we know how to change it into this form from all this factoring work that we've done. So let's see. X squared, 8. We need things that multiply to 8x squared, but add to 6x. X and 8x, 2x and 4x. There they are. 2x and 4x. So I've got x's, I've got a 2, and I've got a 4. So this factors to x plus 4 times x plus 2, and that's equal to 0. Great, two things multiplied together, which give me 0, so that means this has to be a 0, or that has to be a 0, and I'm on my way. Subtract 4, x is negative 4, subtract 2, x is negative 2, there's my two answers. And if you don't trust it, take that negative 4 and plug it in. Negative 4 squared plus 6 times negative 4 plus 8, it'll give you 0. Plug in the negative 2, it will do the same thing. What that means is all this factoring work that we've done, like all these things that we've factored, all these things that we factored everywhere, if I just needed to solve this, for example, if I needed to solve this thing right here, set to 0, what I can do is go through this work of factoring it, get what it factors to. I've done this earlier in an earlier video. So I know this factors to this, 3x minus 5 times 2x plus 7 equals 0. And then I've got my two things multiplied together to give me 0. So that means this equals 0. So 3x minus 5 equals 0. Or this equals 0. And I can solve those. Add 5 to both sides. I get 3x equals 5. Divide both sides by 3, x equals 5/3. On this one, subtract 7 from both sides. 2x equals negative 7. Divide by 2, x equals negative 7/2, and just leave them as fractions. Don't even worry about those unsightly decimals. And that is what we do. So all this work to factoring. Like if I was solving this equal to 0, I factor it, rewrite it as this, set that equal to 0, and it looks like x would equal negative 5, negative 1/2, and I've got them solved.